So, the first thing I want you to know and to understand right here, right now, as we start this series called How to Date Like an Idiot, that I am not calling any of you idiots. When I point out some ways to date like an idiot and you identify with that, you're like, oh, that's totally me. Oh gosh. It is not me saying you are an idiot. It is me pointing out some things of going, hey, we've got to reflect on some of these. We've got to be willing to look at ourselves, some self-evaluation, and go, where am I at? What am I pursuing? And so you doing some of the things that we're going to look at on how to date like an idiot does not make you an idiot. You continuing to do something that you know is going to be hurtful, is not going to bring you life, that doesn't make any sense at all, other than, well, it might feel good. It might make sense to you. But the reason that we're going through this is because we, meaning me, your detour group leaders, the adults here, we love you guys so much that we want the relationships that you have to give you life unlike anything you could imagine for yourself. Some of you and some of the people that you know are settling for so much less than God's best because, man, he's cute. You're settling for so much less than what God has for you because, well, I mean, having a girlfriend, makes me cool. And you settle for that. And so as we go through this, here is why we're going through this series. One, because guidance is key. It would be horrible. Well, you're in high school, you've read Lord of the Flies? Okay? This is what happens when there is no guidance and it's everybody sort of just trying to figure it out. They just end up wounding each other. People who choose to go off on their own and figure this relationship thing out all by themselves and figure out, I'm smart enough, I'm wise enough, I know what's down, I've got this, is just going to end in pain. It's just going to end in mistakes of going like, why did that happen? I do premarital counseling where couples who are engaged will meet with me. And the reason I tell them this is so important is, okay, your marriage is going to be full of surprises. It's going to be full of things that you didn't see coming, things that you didn't expect, things that nobody could ever warn you about. But guess what? There are a ton of things that we can warn you about. There are a ton of things that we can go, all right, every married couple walks through this. Every married couple deals with this kind of a thing. So why in the world would we walk through and just expect and just let everything be a surprise? Guidance is key. And as we walk through this, there are people in this room who love you, who want the best for you, and who want to guide you. Not because they have it all figured out, not because they're perfect. In fact, one of the things that qualifies them for helping you not be an idiot, at some point in their life, they were idiots. And some of us are still idiots. Some of us are still making decisions and walking through things where it's like, that wasn't good. And so you are surrounded not by perfect people, but by people who love you, people who care about you, people who see you dating, who see you attracted to people, and we want the best for you. Our goal is not to keep you apart. Our goal is not to convince you, you shouldn't date till you're 25, which, by the way, in this series, at no point am I giving you permission to date, and at no point am I going to set a dating age for you. All right? That is your parents' job. And one of the ways that we're not going to talk about tonight, but one of the ways to not date like an idiot is to honor what your mom and dad have said. And that is one of the ways to avoid being an idiot. But the first thing, guidance is key. So are you willing to let someone guide you? The second reality of it is ignorance is not mandatory. Like I was saying, you don't have to walk into a dark room that has a light in it and there's a switch and you can switch the light. But no, you have to keep the light off. Are you willing to let the light be turned on? Now, when the light gets turned on, you may end up seeing things that you didn't want to see. You may find out some things about yourself and about this idea of you being in a relationship that you're like, oh man, I had myself convinced that this was a great thing, but now. So some people go, no, I'll just keep wandering around in the dark. No, I'll just keep, holding his hand feels so good. I don't need to worry about, any truth. But ignorance is not mandatory. You don't have to stay in the dark. You don't have to figure this whole relationship thing out all by yourself. And the reality of where you're at in life, a relationship, a dating, an exclusive dating relationship is newish to you. Even if you've, let's say you're super experienced and you've had a boyfriend or a girlfriend since 7th grade. Oh my. All that experience and all that knowledge and ignorance is not mandatory. You don't have to figure this out all by yourself. This doesn't have to be a trial and error kind of a thing. Now, there is going to be trial. There are going to be errors. But are you willing to let people come alongside you and guide you and walk with you in love and point some things out that go, look, this isn't going to bring you the life that you think it's going to bring you? Are you willing to let that happen? Are you willing to let people guide you? But ignorance isn't mandatory. And let me just say this, before you start excusing yourself and thinking that none of this is going to apply to you, you may not currently be an idiot. You may not, up to this point, have ever even been an idiot. At some point in your life, you're going to be tempted to be an idiot. I promise. I guarantee it. So, the reality or the question that we have to ask is, where are you willing to go? What are you willing to question? What are you willing to consider in your life that may require you to set aside some of the things your hormones are telling you, some of the things that society is telling you that you need to be popular or to be cool or to be mature or whatever. What are you willing to go, you know what? I need some guidance. I don't want to be ignorant. I don't want to just walk around in the dark, bumping into things and ending up wounded and confused and disoriented. And if this doesn't apply to you right now, one day it will. Or right now it may, because maybe you know an idiot. Maybe you know somebody who's in a relationship and you're like, they're making some of these mistakes. And again, we're using the idiot term to be funny. It's not something where you are an idiot and you're so stupid for doing these things. Relationships are a struggle. Relationships are hard. Relationships take work. And there are absolutely times in life when you have no business being in a relationship. Are you willing to let God guide you? Are you willing to let God put people into your life who have some experience, who have some wisdom, and are you willing to trust what they say to lead you into relationships that have life? And I guarantee that is what we want to do here. But if you want to date like an idiot, here's tip number 1 on how to date like an idiot. Avoid seeking God first. If you want to date like an idiot, don't go to God, because God may not hold your attraction to someone or your desire to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend at the same priority that you do. God may have a different plan than you have for your life.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So if you want to date like an idiot, do not seek God first. Do not go to him and be like, God, I want you to lead me in my life. God, I want you to give me wisdom. Am I supposed to be in a relationship? Am I supposed to date this girl? Am I supposed to date this guy? Am I in a place in my life where I am dateable? Where someone should be pursuing me? Where I should be someone that someone is looking to attach themselves to? Am I in that place in my life? See, a lot of times it's so easy to look out there and be like, oh, well, she's cute, he's athletic, he's talented, she's, smart, whatever it is. And it's all about out there, and you don't look here. If you want to date like an idiot, do not seek God first. Seek all the other things first. Seek attraction, seek the warm fuzzies, seek the things that are, just, I love that. But don't seek God. Just go with what feels good. Go with what seems natural. Follow your heart. Let your friends around you who are just like, yeah, man, get her, she's totally into you, and just let them guide you. But don't seek God first, because here is what he says he'll do. If we seek God, here's what God says. Don't worry about these things like, what will we eat, what will we drink, what will we wear, who will I date? I'm not adding to the Bible. I'm just saying it's these kinds of topical things that he's talking about. These things dominate the thoughts of unbelievers. But your heavenly Father already knows what you need. Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need. See, God's going to want you to surrender it all. And God is going to invite you into a relationship with him where he's going to ask you, do you trust me that I know what you need? I know you think you know what you need. I know you know what you want. I know you know what feels good. I know that you have it in your mind that, oh, if I date this guy, he's going to make me feel secure. If I date this girl, she's going to make me feel loved. If I date this guy, he's going to protect me and be everything that I need in a man. And God would say, are you willing to trust that I know better? Are you willing to trust that I know more than your boyfriend? That I know you better than your boyfriend. I know you better than your girlfriend. I know what you need way more than she knows what you need when you're making out on the couch in the living room. And then the car's headlights flash through the window and all of a sudden you're on opposite sides of the couch. It's like you actually teleport to opposite sides of the couch, don't you? I know I had that gift in high school. I was like, I'm here. It's magic, right? So, are you willing to trust that God knows above all that what you need? Are you willing to believe that? Because God, if you seek him first, he's going to ask you to put it all on the table. And the huge fear is that if we put it on the table, God's going to go and take it all away. Which brings us back to trust. Do you trust that if God clears the table, that is what's going to bring you life, and that's going to open up the opportunities for the relationship that you should be in? I dated a girl for 2 years, and her mom referred to me as her future son-in-law. I mean, they were all in. They liked me, and and we dated for 2 years, and so, we did everything together, and it was all that. It wasn't until I was willing to go, God, I knew in my spirit that she wasn't what God had for me. And for 2 years, I went, oh, she kisses fantastic. But she's so pretty. But she likes me. She makes me feel good about myself. And I had all these reasons why dating her's fine. In the beginning, it was like, it's not like we're going to get married. Oh, but then we're approaching graduation and we're like dating. And like, I could get married. And it wasn't until I went, God, I want you to lead my life. And I'm willing to give you everything. And you guys, it was so clear. One of the first things was, are you willing to surrender that? Because she's not who I have for you. And it was hard. It was tough. But when I was willing to do that, when I was willing to stop worrying about like, oh, well, if I break up, well, it would, I'll hurt her feelings, and then I won't have a girlfriend. When I was willing to give that up, not only was there a peace in my heart, but the next girl that I dated was my wife. And it was an act of surrender that opened up. It was a clearing of the table that I didn't want. But it was a clearing of the table that was the only thing that could happen to allow God to put on there what I needed. And he says he knows all our needs. Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything that you need. But you've got to wrestle with that. Will you trust that God will give you what you need? Yeah, but as long as he knows I need him, like that boy at school. As long as he knows that I need, a girlfriend for the dance. Are you willing to trust that God knows what you need? God also, if you don't want to, if you go to him, it's going to wreck dating like an idiot, because he says, ask him for wisdom and he'll give it to you. You're not going to be able to date like an idiot if you're receiving the wisdom of God. And that can go in a variety of ways. God said, look, if any of you lacks wisdom, ask me for it, and I will give it to you. And guess what? I won't even hold it against you. I'm not going to look at you when you say, God, I need help. I don't know whether this is the right relationship for me. I don't know if I even should be in a relationship. See, here, let me just throw this in here. We live in a culture that says, you got to be in a relationship. You go to a high school, or you're in an age demographic where the common thought is, you got to have a girlfriend. You got to have a boyfriend. What if that's not what God has for you? What if right now in this season of life, God's going, I want to do so much more in you that if you try and enter into a relationship, you're going to be so distracted. You're going to be pursuing so many other things. I want to do more. Are you willing to trust him in that? God says, if any of you lacks wisdom, ask me and I'll give it to you, and I won't even hold it against you. God's not looking at you going, when you go, God, I really want a boyfriend. I want to feel loved. I want to feel, like I belong to something and that somebody cares about me. And do you trust that God isn't looking at you and just being like, you're a joke? What? You better have a boyfriend. You better get a girlfriend. Otherwise you're a loser. Do you trust that God says, hey, if you ask me for wisdom, I will give you wisdom. And I'm not thinking bad. God is not saying, you should be able to figure this out. You should know when you're ready to date. You should know who the right person is. You should know if it is the right time to date or if it's not the right. God's not saying that. God's going, you don't know. You can't know. You're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. You are figuring out so many things. There is no way you're supposed to know how to handle all of that. So God says, ask me, I'll give you wisdom. God says, I will put people into your life that will love you and care for you, and I will speak through to give you wisdom. Are you open to allowing other people to speak into your life? Is that even part of what you do? When it comes to relationships, are you thinking like you have all the answers? You know how to do this? That you don't need any wisdom. You don't need somebody to speak into your life. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But God says he will show us what path to take. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't depend on your own understanding. You know why? Because your understanding and my understanding is all jacked up. My understanding of things, what I think is going to be what I need and what I need to do to have life, I am so messed up. At my age, I am still so messed up when I try and go it on my own. You at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, you are messed up. Are you willing to acknowledge that and go, you know what? I know I messed up, and I was pretty sure that my boyfriend would help with that. Yeah, I am messed up, but man, I thought if I had a girlfriend, well, that would, take care of that over there. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Anybody in here, you're like, I need to know what path to take. I've tried to, and you've tried to figure it out. You've done your best. And that's the thing. I don't want to make you like a villain. You've done your best. You are trying hard to figure out which path to take. And God is going, you're not going to be able to find it. And a boyfriend or a girlfriend is most likely just going to make you more lost. Are you willing to trust me? Are you willing to come to me? And I'll give you wisdom. I will show you which path to take, but you've got to seek me first. But if you want to date like an idiot, avoid asking God, because he is going to take you on some paths that right now you may not want to go on, or you don't think you want to go on, but it's going to lead you to life. How to date like an idiot. Number 2, isolate from friends and ignore counsel from wise and experienced people. Get it into your head right now that at your age, in your setting, in what you do and what you've experienced, you know it all. You can handle it. You've figured it out. You're smart enough. You're talented enough. You guys love each other enough. And you don't need anybody else. In fact, anybody else is just going to get in the way. Parents, they're just killjoys. They just want to keep you apart. They don't care about you or your desires or what you want or any of that. And they're old. They don't remember what it was like to like first love. So get rid of them. Friends, she's just jealous. She doesn't have a boyfriend. You know, and so I'm not listening to her. I'm not listening to them. You know, no. And you put all your focus on this person that you're attracted to. They're the only ones. And your friends, people in your life who care about you, try to step up and go, hey, here's some counsel. Here's some life. Here's some things that you need to know that are going to help you in this relationship.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And that's how we respond. We're just like, yeah, I got it. Shut up. You know, you come to church, and here the pastor is up here and he's talking to you about dating and love and having a girlfriend. It's like, he's old. He probably doesn't even have sex anymore. I guarantee, never mind. I am here to tell you this. You want to date like an idiot? Isolate from anyone else speaking into your life. Convince yourself that you've got it. Convince yourself that you can do it, that you don't need anybody else, that anything anybody else has to contribute, anything that anybody wants to tell you is just going to get in your way from doing and being what you think you need. And providing completely for yourself and doing whatever you want to do. But apparently, God doesn't want you to live in isolation. Apparently, God's going, no. I didn't create you to find your own way. I didn't create you to live in a bubble where you have to try and figure it all out or where you could ever figure it all out. I have designed you to live in community. I've designed you to live in relationship with other people. Will you let other people in? Proverbs 19 says, get all the advice and instruction you can, so you will be wise the rest of your life. You guys, this is a proverb toward teenagers. And it's not because you're dumb. It's not because you have no ability to understand people or relationships or life and you can't figure any of it out. It's because, why would you try? The reality is you are limited on experience. Like it or not, you just are. You are going to face things that are going to confuse you. And you can either let pride rise up and be like, oh, I can figure it out. No, it doesn't matter. I'll work it out. Or you can get all the advice and instruction that you can. But we get afraid asking for help. We get afraid asking for advice because, oh man, what if I go to Prem and I talk to him about like one of the struggles I'm having with my girlfriend and like He tells me, it sounds like you're not really in a place in life right now where you should be in a relationship. Dude, I don't want that to happen. So, okay, I respect Prem and he's cool and everything, but yeah, I'm not talking to him. And so you isolate. Your friends say things to you like, you're never around anymore. You're always just with your boyfriend. You're always just with your girlfriend. And at first, maybe you feel bad. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll try and we'll. Eventually, man, friends are so annoying. Oh, come hang out with us. Why don't you guys ever go bowling with us anymore? Why don't you ever? Psh, shut up. And you isolate. And you walk away, and you and your special somebody decide you can do it on your own, and you don't need to be in a relationship. Get all the advice and instruction you can so you'll be wise for the rest of your life. The reality of relationship is that wounds from a sincere friend, a friend saying to you, hey, it seems like your priorities are kind of messed up. It seems like you're walking away from some really important things in your life for this over here that doesn't seem like it's very good, or seems great, but you still need this over here. Wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. But if you want to date like an idiot, what you think is most important, what you want to do is best, you can manage, and everybody else is wrong. And so one of the things to kind of just, if you're wondering, am I dating like an idiot? Do you think that you've got it down? And everybody else, your parents, friends, youth leaders, are all just, they're old, they're out of touch, they don't get it, they hate me, everybody's against me. Is this your thinking? Because if you want to date like an idiot, believe that you have all the answers and you can handle it and you're the only thing that you need. Fools think their own way is right, but the wise listen to others. We all struggle with that, don't we? It's like you guys, one of the things that I will just tell you, I want to be right. I want what I say to be right. I want what I do to be right. And even in really close relationships, with my wife, who I know loves me, who I love with all my heart, and she corrects me. She said, hey, if you could not do this, or hey, this is the way this made me feel, and stop it. I get all defensive because I get foolish, believing that my way is right. What I want to do is right, and everybody else can just get out of here. I'm right. What I want is reasonable. What I want is the right thing, and everybody else can just shut up, right? Those who trust, there's lots of these guys. And as I'm reading through this, I'm just seeing this in my life. I'm seeing this in my marriage. I see this in my parenting, where I isolate and I just go off on my own and figure I know what's best. And I don't ask for counsel. I don't ask for advice. Those who trust their own insight are foolish, but anyone who walks in wisdom is safe. You want your relationship to flourish? You want your relationship to thrive? You want to not date like an idiot? Let people speak into your relationship. Some of them will speak things that you don't want to hear. Some of them will demand change that you don't in things that you don't want to change. But it will bring you life. But we were meant to live in community. The Bible uses the analogy of a body, right? Right hand needs the left hand. Right leg needs the left leg. And when you try and do it without it, it's a mess. We're meant to live in community. We are meant to care for others. God has given spiritual gifts. He wants to give you giftings and things to work into each other's life. But when you isolate, when you go, no, I've got my girlfriend, she's all I need. Not only are you not allowing God to work in your life, you're not allowing God to use you in the life of other people. Think of that. And we're going to talk some more about this in the weeks to come, but one of the things that feels so good and feels so right, but ends up being really detrimental, is dating relationships are exclusive. They're naturally exclusive. They naturally exclude other people. And when that happens, we miss out. We miss out on what God has from other people to us, and we miss out on being used by God in the lives of other people. But he calls us to care for one another. This is why Paul goes, hey, guess what? Listen to this. Paul goes, hey, being single is better. He goes, now, I get it. You're all a bunch of horny, panting jungle beasts, and you can't control yourself and you can't keep your pants on. So if you need to, get married. Because you're not supposed to just sleep around. You're not supposed to just live wildly and go with what feels good. So get married. If you're going to take that physical step of intimacy, get married. But you know what? Single's better. When you're single, you don't have this other person that you are called to walk alongside and care for. You're not distracted by the things that a relationship brings, the distractions that every relationship brings. So Paul goes, if you can stay single, stay single. Because God is going to move in powerful ways through your life when you're not distracted by a relationship. Relationships are distracting. I am distracted by my wife. It's a nice distraction. But it's the reality. But if you want to date like an idiot, ignore your friends. Don't listen to advice and counsel. Don't hang out with other people. Just isolate and hang out with your girlfriend or with your boyfriend. Let your other friends just kind of, and here's what'll happen. It'll work. You'll ignore them. You will not hang out with them, and eventually, they'll go away and just leave you alone. And you can just be with your girlfriend. You can just be with your boyfriend. And I can tell you from personal experience, you don't want that. It's a very lonely place to be. So as we go from here tonight, we talk about, who God has made us to be. We talk about how we need to be guided. You guys, and part of what I just want to encourage you, let your guard down to a point where you're willing to be guided. I don't have all the answers, and we're not going to pretend like we have all the answers. And there are going to be parts of your life, parts of your romantic life, parts of your dating that you're not going to see coming and nobody would be able to warn you about or anything like that. But are you willing to acknowledge you need guidance? You guys, I need guidance. I need people into my life to speak into my marriage. I need people in my life to speak into my parenting. I need people into my life to speak into what it means to live for Jesus with my whole life. And you do too. So will you let your guard down? Will you trust that those of us here, we love you and we want life for you? We don't want you dating like an idiot. We don't want you stumbling your way through life thinking that you've got to just figure this out on your own. You don't. There is a God who knows you, who loves you, and wants life from your relationships. Are you willing to allow that to happen? Are you willing to trust that He knows what you need? My prayer for you guys is the same as my prayer for me. That we would seek God first. We would allow Him to speak into our life. And like I said in the beginning, maybe you're not an idiot. Maybe you've never acted like an idiot when it comes to this kind of thing, and you're looking at it like, oh no, but when I get a girlfriend, when I get a boyfriend, I'm not going to be like that. Cool. The day will come when you will be tempted to be an idiot. And it will seem so natural. Whoa, we just want to hang out. Well, yeah, no, it's fine. Everybody tries to tell us, oh, we're too this, or we're not enough that, or why don't we ever go here? Why don't we? Yeah, they don't get it. Okay. There is life when we seek counsel, when we seek wise counsel, when we seek input into our life. There will be life that God will bring. Are you willing to invite that in? Right now, if you have a boyfriend, if you have a girlfriend, are you willing to invite that kind of counsel in? That kind of input, the input that you may not want to hear. Are you willing to acknowledge, you know what, I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. So God, right now, I pray for each person here, whatever stage they're at, whether they are currently dating, whether they are hoping to date, whether they have no interest in dating, God, that you would speak to us. God, that you would speak through us. And that we would come to a place in our life where we're not, avoiding you, where we're not avoiding friendships and things that you want to use to speak into our life, but God, that we would pursue you. And that we would trust that whatever you have for us is going to be better than what we think we need. You have promised to give us what we need. And so God, help us to trust that even when it's scary, even when it seems like we've got a good thing. God, that you would move and that you would speak to us and that you would help us let our guard down and not be so defensive and not try and convince ourselves and convince others that what we're doing is okay and what we've got is the right thing. But God, that we would allow you to give us wisdom when we ask for it. So God, we love you and we thank you for creating us for relationship. And God, right now I pray for all the dating relationships in here that you would be the focus and that you would be at the center of those relationships. God, that you would stir up their hearts in how to care for one another appropriately. God, that you would stir up their heart to draw boundaries and to live in those boundaries and to live as you've called them to live. And God, we want to surrender to you and we want to submit to you. And so do that work in us. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Love you guys. And again, we are here. We don't have all the answers, but we love you. And so if you want to talk, please find one of us and we are here for you. Have a good rest of your week.